Two frequently asked questions I get about the tracing of the bottle are about splines and equations. So splines can make your life a little bit trickier if you're not using them the right way, but they could also make your life easier. So I'll show you how I use them. They're useful in a situation like this, where you have a couple of these arcs stacked on top of each other. The spline can help sort of simplify it. Sometimes what happens with these stacked arcs is as you resize the bottle, they'll snap into like a circle or something, and that can be frustrating. Um, so the way that I think some people tend to use splines, which you can find up here in the toolbar, is to add a bunch of vertice controls. And this can add confusion and complication. It can be really hard to control them. They can behave funny. And it can be sort of frustrating. So I would advise against that. And I think it's helpful to keep splines as simple as possible for your build. So I'm going to create a new spline here. I'm going to click on the endpoint of the straight line and the endpoint of the arc. And I'm going to use constraints and relations to control the spline. So in this case, I'm going to click on the spline, which looks like a straight line currently, and click on this actual straight line, and then tell it to be tangent. And this gives us our first sort of curve. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the arc on the bottom, holding control and selecting both, so they're both highlighted yellow, and then adding the relation of tangent. And you can see that already kind of snaps into position where we want it. The final relation I would add is give it a tangency to this line, so that as the bottle grows in width, the spline will sort of move with it. So I'm going to select again both these two and tell them to be tangent as well. That's not what I intended to happen, but again, this is sort of the complication that these can add. Let me Control Z and see what happened there. I'll try that again. Okay, I believe I may have selected the wrong thing. It may have been this endpoint. But yeah, if something weird happens, just try it again, and hopefully that works. But you can see like that snap is the reason why I don't necessarily recommend splines, especially on this first project. They can sometimes create a little bit more trouble. But it's to each their own, and whatever your preference is. You can certainly dial in the tangency and the curvature by dragging on these endpoints, which is some further control. The next question that I get is about equations. Now, equations aren't part of my regular workflow just because they're, I think, more fussy than the value they give. However, in a project like this, when you're making the same object at 3 different sizes, and I'm like encouraging paying attention to proportion, an equation can help you with that. So the way an equation works is simply replacing one of these values with like an equal sign and typing in an equation as sort of advertised. Something that might help is having like an overall height of the bottle to calculate these proportions from. So for example, I might create a new dimension to give us the bottle height. I'll pull it from the bottom line to the top of the bounding box. Now these two lines are already defined, and so this is why it's starting to give us an error with like these red colors and stuff. It's basically just asking, this pop-up is asking, do you want the dimension to be controlling information or be responding to information? And that's what this top option is, making it a response to information. So if you click OK, you can see the errors go away. It's gray, letting us know that it's simply just responding to things. But this now gives us another number to select for our equation. So I can double click on this number here, and that's roughly 1/3 of the height of the bottle. So instead of a number, I can type in equals. I can select this, and I could say divided by 3 and click on the green check. And now it is roughly 1/3 of the height. You can see the math is a bit off, so sometimes it takes a little bit of dialing, and this is the fussy part that I'm not a fan of, but you can definitely get closer. This here we can see is roughly half the size of the bottle, so I can double click on this and say equals this dimension divided by 2. And again, not quite right, so dial that in. And so when we now change the height, these proportions should change the same. So this is certainly something you can use in this project if you want to fuss with that to make your life easier and constrain proportions. Okay, I hope that helps. Thank you.